I would like to take the time to review some of the key responsibilities of a judge. Safety procedures. Judges are expected to keep safety in mind at all times. If the obstacle becomes unsafe, stop judging and notify the host immediately to rectify the situation. If an accident occurs at the obstacle, call the host or 911 immediately. Do whatever is necessary to assist. However, do not move a back or head injury. Be observant to dangerous situations that could occur with your obstacle. This includes a handle item obstacle, such as a drag, a carry, or a pickup item, or any obstacle that an equine or rider could get tangled in, such as a curtain or vine obstacle. If you sense that the performance is about to become dangerous, you will need to call the rider off. Your judging criteria will alert you to this as well. The first bulleted item will read, if equine panics, the judge is to instruct the rider to drop the item immediately. So you'll want to be prepared for this. It's human nature to tighten up and hold on to whatever is causing the equine to panic. They'll need you to call them off. You may need to be loud and repeat yourself to get above their adrenaline. Once you call them off, you are done judging them. And based on the decision tree, both the equine and rider will be scored in the partial credit range. Be friendly. As a judge, please welcome each group as they approach the obstacle. Equine trail sports is very inviting to people who have never competed before, so they may look okay on the outside, but on the inside, they may be freaking out. Be inviting and know that you are part of their experience. No schooling. Judges are not allowed to school the riders before, during, or after the obstacle. You can repeat or clarify level instructions for the rider before they start if you are asked. Typically, riders are going to come up to your obstacle and they will want you to read back the instructions to them. They're doing this to make sure that they are understanding the obstacle in the same way that you are understanding the obstacle. You can clarify the elements of the obstacle or what they're supposed to do, but you can't teach them how to perform the maneuvers or give them qualities that you're looking for, such as straightness, good posture, or light hands. For example, you might say this is a side pass. You're going to step over the end of the log, side pass the log all the way, and off the end, then walk forward down the trail. You would not say, this is a side pass. I don't want to see you leaning or using tight hands. If an obstacle is meant to be mounted, they must do it mounted. They cannot do it in hand. This would also be considered schooling. You are allowed to demonstrate the obstacle by walking it, but you're not required to. Please be very efficient if you do this to keep the event moving. Another form of schooling is if riders shout something out as someone is performing the obstacle. Don't look away from your competitor. Simply say, quiet please, or no coaching. They should quiet down immediately, and if they don't, then call your obstacle. Both the equine and rider will be placed in partial credit range. Be sure to comment appropriately. Once a rider has exited the obstacle, they are not allowed to re-enter the obstacle to practice or desensitize. Don't give them any hints, tips, tricks, or I wish you would have. Once again, this would be considered schooling, and we don't want a schooling reputation for you or the host. Write down the level first. This is one of the most important things you will do as a judge. Let me explain why. You'll have a group of riders come up to your obstacle. You may be asked to clarify the instructions. Once you've done this, the riders will approach the obstacle one at a time. When each rider approaches, you will get their rider number, their name, and which level they'd like to do. Find them on the scorecard and write the level down. Then you will repeat back to them their rider number, their full name, and their level. By writing down the level first and repeating it back to them, this helps avoid any questions as to what level they picked. Remember, that level directly affects their bracket and their placement within the bracket. By repeating back their rider number, this clarifies that you are scoring the correct team in case they have multiple equines in the class. Once they acknowledge what you have said is correct, then step back and say, okay, start when you're ready. If the competitor should ask about their performance, you can let them know they will see their scores and comments online when the event is over. Scoring the performance that you witnessed. Another way to say this is you can't judge what you don't see. Your score is based on how well they perform the obstacle according to the decision tree. The score must be based on the elements completed and the overall quality that the team showed you. It is not based on being patient in a bad situation. That would be considered good horsemanship, but it is not the performance of the obstacle. For example, if you give a rider a 5 for staying patient with an anxious horse, even though they did not complete the critical element, this is the wrong range that they didn't qualify for, and you would be giving them points they did not earn and undervaluing that score for the person who does earn a 5. Use your plus in this scenario. We do not give tried so hard or pity points. We give pluses for these scenarios. Your score is not based on what you think the team is capable of doing. An example of this would be where you witnessed a horse do a beautiful side pass, but the rider only side passed one direction, and they were supposed to side pass both directions. You might be inclined to give the equine a higher score for this beautiful side pass, but since the critical elements were not completed, and according to the decision tree, both the equine and rider would have to be scored in the partial credit range. The equine would be at the top of the partial range, and the rider would score lower because they caused the issue. And you can also give the equine a plus. You also want to be careful with the kids. As adults, we can fall into that trap of giving higher scores because of the cute factor. But be aware the kids are going to be placed in their age division as well as the brackets. So if you give them points they didn't earn, this will be unfair to the other riders as well as the other kids. Avoid backups. The judge is in charge of keeping riders moving through their obstacle to avoid backups. Our obstacles are not timed, but they are expected to be done in a reasonable amount of time. We do not give them an unlimited amount of time. Once they reach that reasonable amount of time, or if safety should become an issue, you're going to call them off by saying, "Thank you, I'm done judging. You can settle your equine and exit the obstacle." No do-overs. Once a team starts their obstacle, they cannot re-enter the obstacle to have multiple attempts. Let's talk about making forward progress. If a team is pointed in the direction of accomplishing the obstacle and is still within your acceptable amount of time, you can let them continue working towards completing the obstacle. But if they turn away and try to circle back and start over, this is considered a do-over, and you would call the obstacle. We do not allow do-overs. In this video, you see a team approach a straddle side pass obstacle. The horse backs up and away from the obstacle. Instead of moving him forward, the rider circles back and around to approach all over again. This is where the do-over happens. At this point, you would need to call the rider off and tell them, "Thank you, I'm done judging." You would give the appropriate score to what was accomplished up to the do-over point. If this rider did not circle around to start over and instead moved her horse forward to straddle the pole again, then this would be considered making forward progress, and the team would most likely earn more points the more they tried to accomplish the obstacle with forward progress. This concludes the important items to review video.